I'm going to invite the recipient of ISP Young Leader Award and the youngest Indian to achieve 4 degrees by 23. 4 degrees. A best-selling author, professor, and accomplished investment banker with 1.5 million followers on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. He's not just a content creator, but a catalyst for success. Please put your hands together for Mr. Sarthak Ahuja.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi. Thank you. Thank you. So, quite funny, they give this introduction for me. And when I looked at the agenda, they said I'm supposed to be giving a motivational speech, which is quite funny because I typically talk about business. And then I realized that if I'm really supposed to talk about motivation, which I haven't really done ever in my life, I might as well speak about a system that I use in my life for forever learning with all of you guys today, right? So I really wish someone would ask me today, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I remember my mother asking me this question back when I was in kindergarten. Beta, what do you want to be when you grow up? One night, I would tell her, I want to be an astronaut. The other night, my answer would completely change, and I would say, ice cream man. The third night, I wanted to be Shah Rukh Khan. And the fourth, I wanted to be police. My answer would change every single night. And that was beautiful. Except one night again, my mother asked me, Beta, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I ran out of all possible answers. Having been born to chartered accountant couple, I thought, let me just say CA. And I said, I want to be a CA. Little did I know what a CA typically does. Suddenly, I didn't get a pat on my back. I got a chocolate instead. And I said, wow, you say you want to grow up to be a CA and you get a chocolate? And as luck would have it, and you guys can tell, I was doggy trained into becoming a chartered accountant. And back in school, when we would read about Maslow's need hierarchy, it would say that humans want to first solve for basics, like food, safety, home. Then they want to go to a sense of belongingness. They want friends. They want someone who really cares for them. And finally, it's self-actualization. Self-actualization is something that none of us really understand, but it's actually asking you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And if someone asks me that question today, I'd just say, I want to be happy. I honestly just want to be happy. Because I remember growing up, when I was in school, I was made editor of the school magazine. My job the entire year was go around scouting for articles from my fellow batchmates which would go into the magazine that year. But at the end of the year, I realized being the editor myself, I had to submit an editorial piece myself. And that was the day I realized my fear of writing. And it's not really the fear of writing per se. It's the fear of creating something yourself and putting it out for public display, because then people can judge you. They can see all your flaws. They can really see your lack of self-expression or the lack of depth in what you have to share with the world. I remember going to a friend who used to enjoy writing. I borrowed one of his pieces and submitted it in my name, saying, how would anyone get to know? Suddenly, a lot of praise came towards me from that written piece. My teachers, my classmates, they said, what a beautiful piece. But only a heart that knows that happiness doesn't come from unwarranted and undeserved credit. I thought I'll bury this down for years to come, and who cares? But even 3 years later, when I was just getting done with my undergrad, the fear of writing just kept growing. And I realized the only way to face it was to do something about it. So I decided I'm going to start a blog, which I like to call My Life is a Jalebi. In 2011, I made a promise to myself that every month I'll write 2 essays and put it out for public display and let people judge me as much as they want. I did that for years to come. A friend told me, all this blogging business is just something people start and then they can't go beyond for 6 months. And I said, I'm going to do it. Unknown to me, 2015, the blog ended up getting the award for the best humor blog of India. I was quite surprised and I carried that laurel with me into B school, where people thought, okay, this guy is supposedly funny. So one of my classmates, possibly as a joke, signed me up to perform in front of the entire campus on a stand-up comedy event. How do I get to know? I see posters with my face plastered all across campus. I'm like, I didn't sign up for this. It reminded me of the time when back in school I was forced to be part of the debating society and I'd learnt up my speech for days. Learnt it up by heart to such a degree that if today I was giving that speech and someone were to walk into this room, oh man, I would have to stop and start off all over again like the Hanuman Chalisa. And that day at the stand-up comedy event, I remember I had notes in my hands of all the jokes that I had to say. My fingers were trembling. My body was shaking. And the notes, legit, just flew off. And I just froze. I stood there silent. For a stand-up comedy event, that was quite a joke. And I carried that embarrassment inside of me for weeks thereafter. Because it wasn't just my fear of writing, it was also my fear of public speaking. It was also my fear of a receding hairline and the wind blowing a little too fast through it because, oh God, what am I going to do with this hairstyle? And I remember I would spend hours just trying to do a comb over. Back at the age of 24, 25, you really want to woo the ladies. If you were to go back and look at my internet browsing history from that time, you'd find I was really researching anti-hair fall products, while all my classmates were actually studying business case studies. In my defense, though, the business of hair fall reversal products is awesome. You constantly keep giving money to these companies with absolutely no evidence in their favor. The entire fear of me balding kept growing on me to such a degree that one day before an exam, I picked up a tool and shaved my head. I shaved it. And that day, I remember laughing for hours and hours with my friends, telling them how liberating this really is. And then I went into the shower that night and cried and howled. I howled because I could not relate to what I saw in the mirror. And right now, I haven't even told you about my fear of finding myself in rooms where people would discuss politics and business and economics, and I would just stand there silently, not having anything to contribute because I felt I didn't know well enough about those subjects. And that fear can really kill you. I got done with B school thinking, I'm going to start a consulting practice. I'll do business consulting and advisory. And the only thing you can really improve, if it's your lack of skill in your domain, is if you can really measure it, right? So I decided I'm going to measure all my insights. How much do I really know? So about 3.5 years ago, I picked up my phone and I said, I'm going to tell the world everything I possibly know about taxation, about finance, about how business is supposed to run. And I'm going to give it out on social media as one insight every day. So if any of you have ever watched any of my videos, you'll see there's possibly no edit whatsoever. My equipment is just my iPhone. I record it, I post it as is from my phone. But what happened 90 days later, suddenly I had absolutely nothing left to talk about. I could just not think of anything more to share with the world in a domain where I had been practicing for over 10 years. That day, I was frantic. Over 10 years of work experience in this industry, and I have not even 100 insights to share with the world. I realized that no matter which profession you're in, I urge you today, if you were to go back and start this exercise for yourself, I guarantee, give yourself 90 days. You will not have more than 90 insights to share in your domain with the world. And that's how fragile all of our skills and knowledge is, regardless of which industry all of us are in. That day, being frantic, I went back, picked up a book on corporate finance and said, let me just read and find a topic to share with the world. And I remember reading for about 2 hours when I finally found something which I thought, okay, this is of value I can give to people. And I recorded a video and I put it out. Well, that was short-term relief because the following day, I had to go through 12 hours of work, doing client deliveries, meetings, sales, everything. And then 11:30 in the night, when my wife would go off to sleep, I'd pick up my iPad, start reading again, read till about 1:30 a.m. too, find one insight, wake up in the morning, record it, again, short-term relief. And that happened again and again and again every single day. Now, about 3 years down and 1,000 videos old, I can tell you the amount of learning I've had over the past 3 years is absolutely incomparable and exponentially higher than almost 2 decades of formal education before that. What I've learned in the past 3 years, I've not learned in my CA, CS, CMA at ISB, and when I look back, I keep thinking that all that formal education, I wish I had studied, not from the perspective of passing an exam, but just to be able to record my knowledge. The first 100 days of knowledge around startup finance and fundraising was put together in a book called Daily Coffee and Startup Fundraising, which people could pick up and understand it in depth if they wanted to. Another 100 days of content was put together in a book called Founder's Office, again organized for business owners to be able to scale up their business. And finally, I could say that I can measure what I really know and every day improve on it. So while we had a panel today speaking about how you all need to use social media to get sales, I would say when you ask yourself what do you really want to be, and if the answer is happy, which comes from self-actualization, self-actualization is a function of one thing, which is growth. And growth, my friends, comes from the joy of facing and overcoming your fears. For everyone. And if that's the case, I've used one framework called the ICPG to face my fears, find growth, and finally be at a position in my life where I feel just a slight bit happier than what I was a day prior. So the I in ICPG here stands for indifference. The indifference we have towards our fears. So you could be fearful of your health, maybe just afraid that you can't do 20 push-ups in front of everyone, or in the confines of your bedroom even. The fear of poor health, the fear of a lack of skill, the fear of not being able to grow your business, not being able to get a new client tomorrow. The first is indifference and acknowledging that we're not doing much towards it. The fact when you acknowledge and you want to go from indifference to the next step, which is the C in ICPG, which I like to call challenge. The second part is taking up the challenge that you will be improving and overcoming this fear, which, in my experience, it helps if you have someone who is an accountability partner. Someone who can check with you every day. Have you made progress on this? My accountability partner is my social media audience. If I don't put up a video every day, they start messaging me, why haven't you put out something? We were waiting for something to come out. That's the challenge. The third part is painful action. Painful action towards overcoming that challenge. Higher the frequency, better it is. For me, that frequency is every single day. And you do that long enough, you get to the G, which is growth. So may I urge you that the only lens people look at social media today is from the perspective of marketing and sales. But the job of a CEO of any company, whether it's a commission-based broker, it's a developer, anything, the job of a CEO is twofold. The first is sales. Sales solves more than 50% of the problems in your business. If you have enough sales, you have enough profits, you can hire people, you can hire the right kind of talent, retain them, do everything which is currently not happening just with sales. So as a CEO or a founder of your business, first focus on sales. The second is development. It's either learning and development, research and development, new product development, or new market development. And what we all tend to focus on is just the sales part, but not the development part, where it's a circle and it all starts from development and gets you to differentiate from your competitor and get better sales. So my request to you is, when you look at social media, and when you only look at the number of followers, it's easy to go down south that route trying to optimize for more numbers. You want to do things which are massy. And you know what things are massy? Polarizing things are massy. People who get a large social media following, they optimize for 40% hate in their comments. Because they know if it's going to offend a certain segment of society, they're going to write comments on it and they'll make you grow. Unfortunately, that's how the social media algorithm works. And unfortunately, that's exactly how the concept of politics works all around the world. So the moment you can move your metric of creating content away from just a certain follow account which will get you sales, to is this helping me learn a new insight every day and put it out to share it with other people, suddenly your motivation does not drop if even after 50 videos you're unable to get to 5,000 followers, because it absolutely does not matter. And I remember a time where people who started doing content around finance and business, we all started at the same time. 50 videos down, a bunch of profiles were at 100K followers within 50 videos. It took me 280 videos and making content for 10 months every single day to get to my 10,000 followers. And today, if I'm at 1.8 million, that's because the metric was never the followers, it was only the learning. And if that has been able to change it in my business, I 100% guarantee that can bring a change in your business. Because today, if people were to ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I could give this speech. I could say I want to be happy. But if my mother was still sitting in this audience today, she would nudge me and say, when you grow up, at least put some hair on your head. She used to be afraid that her son would not get married. Now, fortunately, being married for the past 3 years, and the fact that I can at least afford a hair transplant. But the joy of taking a razor and taking it to my head every morning is a sign that I got to baldness before baldness could get to me. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah?
Ladies and gentlemen, questions? Yeah? There? Okay, we'll take one question. Yeah, go for it.
Actually, is your
Just-
client base only...
Can we have the mic on?
Yeah, hello. Yeah. Are your clients only from the real estate, or are they from automobile and other sectors as well?
From, in fact, across several industries. And what I may add there is that ever since I started doing content marketing, you'll realize don't confine yourself only to Instagram. Also do it LinkedIn. And I'll tell you why. Because the way the Instagram algorithm works, it pushes out content to people who could possibly be in your vicinity or within your friend circle. So if you're based out of Bombay, the first circle that the algorithm pushes it to is Bombay, and then your friends travel to other places, so other parts of India. However, LinkedIn actually pushes out content based on interest. So the first way I started getting a lot of international clients across domains and industries was actually through LinkedIn. So regardless of which industry you're in, 100% use that if you want to enter the international market and serve foreign clients. That's an easy start for you to start getting leads, regardless of which industry you're in. Yeah? But does that answer?
Yes, that does answer. But I have one small question for you again.
Sure.
See, most of us...
Can you just speak a
more-
little louder? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I had a sore throat. So, most of us, whenever we buy a Mercedes, first thing we'll display the Mercedes. When we buy a house, our main business is real estate. We will never display that I bought this house or I bought this office. But so we are actually indirectly promoting Mercedes in a big way more than what Mercedes is promoting us.
Sir, could you repeat your question?
Okay.
Maybe because of the audio, I can't
No,
understand.
what I have to say is that whenever a premium car, like example, it could be a BMW, it could be Mercedes, it could be Audi. Whenever we buy that, I'm talking of the realtors, we take a photo of us with Audi, where thousands of people like it, and we are indirectly helping Audi to grow. We are not helping our real estate industry to grow or ourselves to grow. What do you want to say about this?
So I think so if you think about it on a fundamental level, why is it that people would share a picture with an Audi? They would share a picture with an Audi because it helps elevate their status in society, right? Because Audi is a brand, and by association, if I'm seen with it, my brand gets elevated. It's possibly the same in your real estate industry. There would be certain brands, think maybe like a Camellias in Gurgaon, for the lack of a better example. If you buy a flat at Camellias, you would possibly still find a way to advertise and talk about it. So the question is, when I think of personal branding, and I've learned this entirely from my wife, when I think of personal branding, what is the meaning of brand? Can you explain it in one word? What is the meaning of brand? Immediate recall value? Brand, in my mind, means auqat. Brand means auqat. It means status. So whenever you talk about building a personal brand online, which really helps you with your business, your branding, the knowledge you share, the insights you have to give have to be so premium and so unique and so helpful to the audience that everyone wants to be associated with you. If today any gentleman or lady here has gotten a picture clicked with any of the influencers we had on stage, and they might share it on their stories or social media, it's because those people have now become brands. And then it becomes an infinite loop. More the number of people who share about it, the others would think there is something definitely great about this guy. Tomorrow, if I have any work in real estate, I should probably contact him. So become such a brand of knowledge in your industry that when people meet you, their status gets elevated by association with you.
Beautifully put. Beautifully put. We can't take any more questions.
Very small question. Very small question. How important is your appearance and the hashtags when you're posting?
How important is your appearance?
On the basically social media and the hashtags to use.
The hashtags.
Hashtags for the promotions.
Okay, so sir, I'll tell you, it's extremely important because social media is a visual mode, right? So if something looks good, the chances of it growing are higher. Now, if you start with looks like mine, do not bother about looks when you're starting. Only focus on the insight. Do not focus on hashtags, focus on absolutely nothing. Your focus has to be, I need to get started. If a reel limits you to just about 90 seconds, don't bother about 90 seconds. Go on and talk for 5 minutes if it takes that. Because when you're starting, your job is to just get started and remove the camera shyness, remove the fact that you're conscious about it, and build it as an everyday habit. My everyday habit is, right from the beginning, I thought social media content should not take more than 20 minutes of my day. Because I have a full business to run, which I possibly work in for 8 to 12 hours, depending on how jam-packed that day is, right? So if you devote more than 20 minutes to the content creation journey, it's not sustainable. You will not be able to run your business. So either hire people who can edit and do all of that for you, or the best is no matter where you are, you can just pick up your phone, give an insight, post it, and it's done. Just do that. The video will automatically start looking better. You will start speaking better. You will be more insightful if you keep doing it day after day after day. It's just like doing your push-ups and building your chest. Just get started and do it. Do not care about looks. It will happen.
Thank you so much, Sarthak. Thank you. And with that,
Thank you.
I request you to remain on stage. And may I invite Mr. Vikas Agarwal, Secretary, NAR India, to felicitate Mr. Ahuja.